Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, Jono Zalay.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
And Jay, specifically.
Why are you holding your hands up like this?
I
You're just excited?
Make an entrance, you know?
There
Make
you
yourself felt in the room.
That's the way to do it. You got the presence. Jono is a very funny comedian. He and I, we were just at a show on Monday together, and there was a comic on stage doing a bit about the movie we're going to talk about today, The Irishman.
Yes.
And you and I were sitting at the same table, and you leaned over to me and said that something, I don't remember exactly what you said, but you were like agreeing about not liking The Irishman because the comic on stage didn't like it either.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. This sounds like a podcast episode.
Yeah, we'll take the one tweet that I said out loud to you about my commentary on it and turn it into a whole 45 minutes of content.
That's how we do it these days.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a whole movie at Sundance that's based off tweets that just sold.
What?
Yeah, you never heard about this?
No.
Zola.
Ugh.
It's a movie about strippers.
Okay.
Yeah, it was written based off a Twitter thread. And it's now a movie. Apparently, it's a pretty solid movie too.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but like, I've seen some Twitter threads where I was like, this should be a movie.
Yeah, and that was and hey, listen, you got what it takes to be a studio exec now.
I mean,
you could do it.
That's we're disrupting the movie writing business with Twitter.
Well, The Irishman started out as a Twitter thread.
I mean. The thing is, like, I think that, like, the other joke that I didn't tell to you is, like, I don't think that the Jimmy Hoffa assassination was a secret. I just think the assassin tried to tell people, and it took so long. They were like, "Fuck, never mind."
I mean, yeah, this guy, our boy Frank Sheeran, the Irishman himself, not the best of telling a short story.
No.
Does not know how to tweet. He really, if he was around when Twitter was happening, he'd be happy when they expanded to 280 characters.
Exactly.
My man's long-winded.
Like even like the way that they start the movie, it's like him in the like prisoner old folks home or whatever it is.
They're both. Yeah. They're close enough.
Is he in prison or is it just an old folks home?
I think just an old folks home.
Okay.
It seems like because he was in prison and then he got out for good behavior, I guess.
I just don't think they'd nabbed or like pinned enough crimes on him. And yeah, like I guess like if you're an old man who has no physical capacity to murder anyone anymore, they're like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
We're wasting money on Jello for this guy. Let's let him out on the make him earn his own Jello from now on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's in the old folks home, and then like he flashes back, like you see, it was all of this trip that I took with Joe Pesci, my friend. And then they're on the trip for like 2 minutes, and there's like, but it's actually about 40 years earlier. So it's like, it's the way that an old person would tell a story, like that old Abe Simpson thing is like, what you understand is like, I had an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time.
Right.
But the other part is like, it's a story that's starting to go nowhere. So it's like story within a story. It's like, oh, but wait, I forgot about this part, which you have to, let me pause the story I've been telling for 3 minutes to tell a 30-minute other story that has very little to do with actually what happened.
And is that your base critique about The Irishman? Is it's too loopy?
Not necessarily. Like I think that it's fine if you like show several different phases throughout one's life. I also think part of the reason they did it within the first 5 minutes is like to show off how good their technology was in making them young. It's like, you see he's old right now, but like wait for a second, he's like a little bit less old, and oh wait, you think that's enough? Bam, he's like 40 now,
right?
Or 50. It's even like when I think they're trying to make him look 40, he still kind of looks like 55.
They're definitely, I think they're trying to make him look maybe even younger, like in his 30s.
Oh damn, he doesn't even. He doesn't look
close to that.
Not even a little bit.
Well, I remember I've had a lot of people both on the show and off the show bring up the scene to me
Oh, yeah.
where he goes and is like
Beats up a
curb
guy.
stomping the guy. Yeah.
Stamping on his hand.
And you can see he's like got the back brace on and he's just like not doing it right. And he's, he's got old man body. But that's why they have to do it super zoomed out because
Yeah.
you can't do
Right.
zoom, get a tight shot on old Robert De Niro trying to stomp a man's hand. But it's one of those. Did you watch this movie? You watched this movie not in theaters. You remember mentioning that to me.
Right, yeah.
Had you seen any trailers or anything for it beforehand? Are you
Not, I don't know necessarily if I had. I mean, like the way that Netflix shows, like essentially the trailer as you're like waiting to start it.
right?
Probably saw that. Like
Yeah.
I got the gist of it, where it's just like, old school mobsters, different parts of their lives, coming of age tale about how they murdered Jimmy
A
Hoffa.
coming of age mob story. Well, this is the thing. I always like watching. Now that I have the capacity, thank you, Better Box. We have the capacity to watch the trailer. I like
Yeah.
seeing how they
Sure.
advertise for things. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember when they first showed that they were doing this grand Martin Scorsese thing. The only clip was they had like dialogue and gunshots and a bullet flying through this black screen, and it said Scorsese, De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci. And
Yeah.
they were like,
Gone
the
Fishing
Irishman.
3.
3 men and a little lady 3. But this is the full final trailer The Irishman has. So I want to see how they advertise it, because you're not showcasing like, oh, this is a 3-hour long movie. I don't remember watching a trailer for this, so I want to see what they actually did.
It's over. They're all gone.
Look at his sad face.
Frank, it's time. It's time you say what happened.
Sad music.
My cousin Russell Buffalino.
There we go.
Better watch. There's a lot of tough guys around here. Did he tell you?
Young guys. Ray Romano.
You're not afraid of tough guys, are you? I didn't think so.
I was one of 1,000 working stiffs until I wasn't no more.
They really are making this
You got.
sound kind of hopeful. This is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
To me right away.
It's like it's someone who's gonna
After a
run for
while,
president and win.
started
It's
Yeah.
like no one
giving me
believed in me.
Little things to do.
this is some inspirational music.
Totally.
I know you read a lot of things about me. I just want to say I'm sorry. I know I wasn't a good dad. I know that. I was just trying to protect all of you.
From what?
You didn't see what I see, what I've been through.
A friend of ours is having a little trouble. Friend at the top.
Hiya, Frank. This is Jimmy Hoffa.
Glad to meet you.
You want to be a part of this fight? A part of this history?
Whatever you need me to do, I'm available.
Here we go.
Only 3 people in the world have one of these, and only one of them is Irish. You know how strong I made you?
What the quote?
I know.
Oh,
Said that.
no.
You sure he said that?
That's something Mick never even said to Rocky.
Yeah, Jesus.
I got records. I got tapes.
This is the problem with, like, professional film critics.
Yeah.
Pesci is you believe in the power of art.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to. That's not going to sell me on this. See, that's a decent pull quote. Peter Travers knows what he's doing.
I know how you feel.
We'll bring you back after you get your car.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
They teased what's gonna happen to Hoffa though.
Yeah. They showed a lot. I mean,
If they show you how the movie ends, it's not a good movie.
but that's trailers. I mean, they showed you.
Yeah.
There's so much about it. This is the this trailer is just like it feels like a weird trailer to watch and try and say that this is the closest thing we're going to get to the actual movie The Irishman.
Right.
The movie The Irishman does not really feel like that trailer.
No. Yeah, like it's kind of incoherent. Like you don't really know what is this movie? Like is it about a working stiff who makes his way up, or is it like about a hitman who can't find a way to live with his family, or is it all three? Like, it's probably telling like a little bit. I guess the problem with the movie is like that it's like telling so many stories at once.
Yeah. It's got I mean, there is a lot going on in it. You know, there's the problem that I had, and this is this is really the only problem that I had with the movie, because I really liked The Irishman. It's so weird that De Niro feels misused. De Niro feels like scene dressing through like the entire movie until maybe the last 30 minutes. And that's 3 hours worth of movie where he's just like a guy who's just kind of telling the story but not really a part of the story.
Right.
He's just playing a narrator.
Yeah.
Then there's not that exciting. I loved Joe Pesci in this. I loved Al Pacino in this.
Joe Pesci was great. Like they're both are a little bit weird casting. Like they are so Italian, playing two Irish guys.
Yeah.
Also, like love the quote where it's like, "There's only 3 of these in the world, and only one of them is Irish." And it's like, well, doesn't that just diminish everything else about like what's so special about how Italian these rings are?
You just gave it to a fucking Irish guy.
Yeah,
Come on,
if there was like 100 and they were all Italian and only one is, that's the thing. Is like if he just builds a coalition with the other Italian guy, you're pushing the other guy. Like you could totally take over that government of a 3-person race.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing. They call this is how you can tell Scorsese's getting senile. He's giving credit to the Irish instead of the Italians, like it should be.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's been said about this movie in terms of how Scorsese is approaching this as like a commentary on his own mob movie filmmaking.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have you seen anything about?
Is it a love letter to mob movies?
No. It's actually
or is it a critique.
It's a critique.
Interesting.
Because this is the thing that I stepped away from. Are you a Scorsese guy or mob movie guy?
Yeah, I mean, I like his major hit films. Like I've seen a few of his earlier ones that were like, eh.
Okay.
Like, you ever seen Mean Streets?
No, it's on my Netflix queue. I haven't seen it.
Nah.
I've seen Joker, so I've seen probably enough of Mean Streets.
A little bit, yeah.
I've seen. I don't need to watch Mean Streets or King of Comedy.
That's the thing. Is like I like King of Comedy, and like because of that, I probably like Joker a little bit less.
Yeah, I buy it. I have to see King of Comedy because I've heard it's a pastiche.
Yeah,
the nicest way they're going to say it's a ripoff.
Yeah.
But The Irishman. So I am not as familiar with Scorsese as I realistically probably should be, but I've seen some of his classic mob movies, Goodfellas, Departed, and I know that those movies are criticized by some for glorifying the mob lifestyle.
I see, yeah,
and violence and that kind of stuff. And I remember a lot of uproar about Casino in particular, which I still haven't seen, but I know that there's
really
a lot. Yeah, I still haven't seen it. There's a lot, but there's a lot of people who are like, Casino's too violent, it glorifies too much. It says fuck the most, or it had the record for the most fucks in the movie for a while. Yeah, I think.
Did Tarantino take it back?
No, it was actually. I think Tarantino took it, and then Scorsese took it again with Wolf of Wall Street.
It's like when Chappelle and Dan Cook were trying to get the longest stand-up set of all time,
and just bouncing back and forth.
You
off
did
each
2.5 hours. I just did 7 hours, motherfucker.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna do 9 hours then. Yeah. Get me a carton of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But there's the critique. I think is that this movie, as opposed to something like Goodfellas, does kind of the opposite of what those movies does as far as the way the mob and being a part of it is portrayed.
Yeah, you could look at old gangster movies and like seeing everyone want to like own the whole set, where it's like there's a playing card from this gangster in this time, what a character he was. You like him a lot. And like in this one, I kind of loved it. One part or every part where like you would meet a new character and it's like, this is good, this is whatever,
right?
And she's like shot in the head 4 times 3 years later.
Yeah, I really liked that. That was a nice device.
That was really fun. Where it's just like none of these guys lived long. Like where it's introduced like, oh, you like this guy? Well, he's dead by his old friends or something.
And a lot of times you see them die on camera too.
Oh, true. Yeah, at the end where they're wiping everyone up and stuff, or like, they tease they're gonna kill that guy and then like you actually see it happen. That's fun.
Yeah, there's no good Goodfellas opening long take here.
Right.
You know, like that long take, you're like, oh, look at the power of this. He can get a table carried into him at the Copacabana. He knows everybody's names.
Yeah.
In this, it's just like, it's grim.
True.
And cold.
Yeah.
And everything, even the parts where it's like people negotiating and in the ways where it felt like fun before. You know, like in Goodfellas, you got the, what am I, a clown to you? Like, that's a fun... You're kind of like, oh, this is kind of scary because Pesci's playing a very unhinged character.
Truly.
But it's a fun scene.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
But this, I want to watch the scene, the It's What It Is, where they're showing the rings.
Yeah.
So this is this is supposed to be, I feel like if this scene was in Goodfellas, they would be playing it and everybody would be like, oh, this is great. There's going to be fun music going on. There's going to be like people playing trumpets in the background. But we're now in late stage Scorsese and we got late stage Irishman going on here. And it's all very somber.
Only 3 people in the world have one of these, and only one of them is Irish. I have one. Angelo has one. Now you have one.
This is a little...
Oh, wait, he just spoiled... The order of operations is wrong here. He didn't even have the ring yet. He just gave it to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say, Russ. It's,
Say anything. Slip it out. See how it looks.
He puts it on his ring fingers. He's like been married to him.
Married
With
to
this
the mob.
ring, I marry you to the mob.
Yep. He should have put on
The
the
sequel.
pinky finger like Pesci has.
Yeah.
Nobody can fuck with you. Nobody.
And you got this little music swell.
It looks like a decoder ring.
Oh yeah, like you got it out of the bottom of a cereal box.
At Ovaltine, it's like, I got to solve the code from Little Orphan Annie.
But problems. Hoffa's causing some bullshit.
Listen, Frank.
Here we go.
Things have gotten out of hand with our friend again. And some people having serious problems with him. And it's at a point where you're gonna have to talk to him and tell him it's what it is.
Kiss of
what
death.
it is.
Yes, it's what they want. It's where it's got. You're close to him. Maybe he'll listen to you.
You know, I talked to him. He's a tough guy to talk to. You know him.
He has no choice. He has no choice.
See, De Niro doesn't want to do this. If this was what was the Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci and Goodfellas. If this scene was playing out there, they'd be like, sweet, we're gonna beat a guy to death with a shovel. But now De Niro's like, he's my friend.
Yeah. I did like this internal struggle of like, I'm loyal to 2 groups that are now fighting each other.
Mm-hmm. Anna Paquin shows up
to look sad.
She's got a weird relationship with Jimmy. I can't tell if her and Jimmy Hoffa are secretly fucking during this movie at all.
Ooh.
I think they might be.
It's an interesting take.
I mean,
Knucklehead.
could be happening. Who knows? Jimmy Hoffa's powerful.
You can't not have an Italian opera singer.
No,
really
of
adds.
course not.
Add a little finishing touch.
That's how Scorsese does it.
Anytime 2 Irish guys, or excuse me, there's only 1 Irish, 1 Italian.
Only one. So, but we haven't even really gotten. We've kind of just danced around a little bit. But what are some of the other problems that you had with The Irishman?
So I like that. The sadness of it was good. The problem is it's like it takes so long to get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can establish that this person is conflicted about being loyal to 2 groups without having to show them their whole bunk bed story of like growing up in the union together or whatever. There's interesting parts about all of it, but like it's just, what the fuck is this movie about after a certain point? Like it just kind of loses you meet Jimmy Hoffa like about an hour in
Right.
to a 3-hour movie. It's like, who's this guy? What's Hoffa doing here? I thought this was a buddy mob movie.
Right.
And then like they just kind of like completely redirect to this other assignment of like, oh, this is now we have to establish. It's like they establish their friendship with Pesci and the mobster guys. Then they establish the friendship with Jimmy Hoffa, and then like in the third act, I guess they come kind of to a quick head.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you're in a 3-hour movie, you think like you could like show like a little bit more of a, I don't know, build. It seems like it's just like you don't get it. You lose the threads, and then they all like kind of come together at the end. It's a mess.
Did you feel like, obviously the length is something that a lot of people have a critique with. What do you feel like could have been removed in order to condense the storytelling a little bit?
Like 10 different scenes, like none individually. That's the thing is like they're like kill your darlings. Like there's a way to like condense that story to make it coherent, and like even you can even have the like peripheral stuff about like Cuba and Kennedy. That's all fascinating. Like this is a tell-all book about how the mob killed Hoffa and Kennedy, and it's such a like tangential part of the story.
Right.
Like you learn so much about this guy and how he can't fucking look his daughters in the eyes or whatever, and like scares the shit out of his family, and doesn't have like knows all these guys that die, and like that's a lot. Like so much of it is that, which I think you can accomplish with like half the scenes, whereas like the actual event, the world events that these people are affecting are like such a backstory.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, did you know that there's this coup in Cuba that we fucked up, and that's why we murdered Kennedy? Because he didn't give us our casinos back?
He didn't do it right.
It's like, there's this world event that everyone, a secret society knows about, and everyone still has conspiracy theories about, and like, oh yeah, and yeah, we might have killed him.
Oh yeah, and don't forget also all the shit we pulled to get him into office.
Right, yes. I mean, I like that where they like going through the gravestones to find people in Chicago to like write their names and vote for them in Illinois. Like that's interesting. Like that's good. That was a good scene. I wouldn't cut that one. And like him delivering the guns to the coup in like in Florida so they can go across to the Bay of Pigs. Like that's fascinating. And the fact that he's involved in that and how he's recruited, like all of that stuff can be totally streamlined. There's like this guy like is a Forrest Gump in the mob hit universe.
Mob Forrest Gump.
it's kind of that. It's like, oh, and then he shows up to deliver the guns to the Bay of Pigs.
Laugh is like a box of bullets.
Yeah, seriously.
You never know which one's gonna get shot next.
So yeah, there's like just so many scenes where these somber gentlemen are like staring across the table of a diner or restaurant at each other and like not knowing what to say.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that can be established a lot sooner and better.
Okay.
And like stay on the trajectory they are.
Okay. I think that's a fair criticism. I disagree with you, but I think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah.
Because I was apprehensive about watching this movie in one sitting at the very least. Did you watch it all in one sitting or did you break it up?
So I watched it all in one night.
Okay.
So like I was watching it with my girlfriend. We were just like, oh, this will be like our evening. We're dedicating this evening to The Irishman. We watched it. We like at one point paused it to like go to the bathroom, make a quick snack or something like that. We looked at it and we was like, oh, there's another 2 hours left in this movie.
Right.
Holy shit. What has happened? Nothing's happened? Whoa. For a movie where there's major world events about to unfold, nothing's happened. And like nothing, like the character has been established 40 times.
Right. I think that there's
like, I feel like because it was a true story, like maybe they felt like they owed service to all these different life developments of that person, where it's like, oh, we can't miss this part of his life where he meets this person, and this is how he meets Hoffa.
Right.
And this is how he, coordinates with this other. Just like, yeah, I mean, okay, who cares? Like you can cut some real people. Like there's like reasons movies are based on true stories and don't have to be like scene for scene what fucking happened with this guy and his buddy who.
I think this is interesting because you said just now there's the people who I'm also friends with who also expressed to me that they didn't like this movie.
Right.
As far as from they did the same thing where they watched the first and they're like, oh, there's 2 hours left and nothing has happened. I think the thing that I differ with on this is that it feels like the world building exists and that is still happening.
Right.
Even though it might not be like, we're not getting into any of the world events. We don't know, but we're not following any of the Teamsters shit. We're not following any of this other stuff. And Frank is the blandest character, unfortunately. That
true. Yeah. He's very stoic.
He's very stoic. Yeah. Even in the scenes where like he's beating people up outside of grocery stores. Can we find that clip? I want to see that. I think we've shown it on the show before, but I want to see that because he's not really showing a lot of emotion. He's just being a guy who's like grim and gritty and like throwing people through windows.
He's very like pragmatic in a way where it's like he's just like, oh, something happened. I need to do this thing to right it. Like like it's the kind of fragile or like inability to express yourself that a lot of the toxic maleness is the little kids would call it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, he can't share his emotions with his daughter, so he's going to show her he loves her by beating up a man who like shoved her.
Can we show? Let's from the beginning of this clip. Yeah, here we go. This is toxic masculinity from Robert De Niro right here.
Yeah.
Honey, did he shove you? Just answer me. Did he push you? Did he shove you? Whatever it is, did he do that? Let's go.
Robert De Niro on
Instead
standby,
of saying,
having
like,
people
"Excuse
ready
me,
to
daughter,"
fix his back.
Yeah.
Frank, he didn't mean it, the man.
I will
It
protect
just
you. I
happened.
care
He
about
didn't mean it.
you.
He touched her. What are you kidding me?
I will go
He has
talk
no
to him
right
for
to
you
push
so
her.
he never
Touch
does
her.
that
Not
to you
even
again.
one pinky
Nope.
on her.
She needs to see him commit horrible acts
Right.
of violence.
Let's get you fired from your job for sure.
Yeah.
And also watch me destroy a man's livelihood.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
That glass is. They need. You know what? If the glass is that weak in that deli, they needed new ones anyway.
True. Yep.
The way his arms are bowed like that, that's such the old, like, adds to the old man
Old
thing.
man stuff, yeah.
Don't step on my hand.
Who's that, you motherfucker?
He's not even stepping on it with the right. So this is the thing. It's like, even scenes like that, it feels like we're kind of removed from Frank's story.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's shot so far away because you can't be zoomed in. And all the interesting, I think there's interesting and exciting parts that happen in that first hour and a half or so. Because the other thing that other friends of mine have said about that first chunk is they're like, nothing exciting happens. It's so slow. And I think, there's like cars exploding and there's other stuff going on, but none of it you don't really feel attached to it. And I think what I came to like about the movie by the end was I felt like that was kind of deliberate in a way where it's like we're supposed to feel detached because we're not supposed to feel good about anything that Frank is doing.
Right.
And then all the stuff when he's building these connections with the characters, that's when the movie really starts cooking and gets the most interesting. And you could probably still get away with cutting time out of this movie for sure. Easily.
Like I would even keep that one in to like show like his interaction with his family specifically and why his daughters hate him so much because like he thinks he's doing the right thing by protecting them like physically and intimidating the neighborhood to do the same thing, but he's actually terrifying them into like exposing them to all this unnecessary violence or whatever. And the other one like that I did like in the beginning was like Joe Pesci like finds out he speaks Italian. Is like, oh, how'd you speak Italian? He's like, oh, I was in the war and all this stuff. I feel like this is when they start recruiting him for the like sort of assassin job, where it's like, oh, tell me about your war service, and like it shows a flashback of him in the war, like essentially committing a war crime.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they like him because he's a sociopathic killer who's willing to do things that serve his interest with no emotion attached.
Right.
Like that's a decent character building scene. And then but there's 5 other ones where he's just kind of sitting around talking to people, and it's like, okay, he's just bad at conversations.
Yeah.
It's kind of a wonder why anyone wants to hang around this guy. He sucks.
It's just there's like, you don't need to see him sitting in a car, not being able to talk to anybody in the car.
Yeah.
You don't need to see him at a gas station having like a stilted conversation necessarily.
Right.
What is that? It's not really adding stuff in the way that some of the scenes like that and the other one that you just brought up add to our understanding of Frank as a character. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was like, because he can be like a somewhat complex character, even within the like, I'm a killer who's bad. It's like you can show him with his relationship with his friends that are obviously very important, and like he's torn apart at the end, and that's like compelling. You can show his like strained relationship with his family. You can show all these different ways where he is like kind of becomes a leader amongst the thugs, and like takes initiative, and like the way he builds his reputation up by destroying all these cars and all these different ways to fuck up people over. And like not feel good about it. So like you can accomplish all of those goals. I feel like, I mean, I'm not fucking editor or director, but like for me, it felt strained.
Okay.
Like as a viewer, like I shouldn't have to rationalize why I should like something post talk. It's like, oh, like now that I realize what Scorsese was trying to do, now I should appreciate it. Whereas at the time I was like, get to the fucking point.
That's fair. I think that I don't agree with it, but I understand your point.
Yeah.
It's a totally valid point.
Yeah, because I rewatched that first hour the last couple days, like, and there's no individual scene that's bad. Like they all are they're like, oh, okay, this is him talking with him. Like I'm getting to know this character a little bit, but like knowing where it's going, I'm just like, this is a waste of time. They just wanted to show off their fucking cool technology, and that they didn't need to have any new actors. They just can use the same old actors.
Same old actors. This is look at what Scorsese did. We're gonna keep using everybody until they die, and then we're gonna prop them up with our Weekend at Bernie's technology, and get their mouths to move.
Fucking hologram them and just stomp someone's head off.
Do you think we're far away from holograms in movies? I don't think we're that far. We already had they had in the Star Wars movies.
Where they
like
had
the
Princess
CGI.
Leia and Grand Moff Tarkin and stuff like that. Like the problem, the good news is that like I feel like people hated those so much, that they like probably won't. It's like those technologies that people are so like grossed out by that like they don't gain prominence, like the Google Glass. Where it's like, oh, everyone's gonna have Google Glass now, and then everyone hated them, and it was like, well, I guess not. Or like even like 3D movies, everyone thought like every movie's gonna be 3D from now on. It's like I purposefully get the 2D movie now. Like at first I was like, oh, Avatar in 3D, cool, and now I'm like, I don't want to fucking see a movie in 3D.
No,
it's completely useless.
There's nothing new that we're adding.
No,
by having that extra dimension.
No,
like I just it's the novelty's gone. It was a novelty again, and everybody was like, "This is going to be the way we're going to see movies from now on."
Yeah.
I can't think of a movie in the past 5 years that's come out that I've been like, I have to see that in 3D,
exactly,
or else,
right,
or I'm gonna not really get the full experience.
Right, and so I don't think there's going to be a time where it's like, oh, I have to see this actor it's the uncanny valley. Are you familiar with that concept?
Yeah, uncanny valley stuff. It just feels like it's just kind of off in an unsettling way.
So you're not gonna because part of the beauty of acting is like you can empathize with the character or whatever. Like, but if you don't believe, like if you can tell that this is a robot, you're not gonna believe its emotions. And so, like, why would you purposely undercut your movie?
And the thing we've learned from The Irishman is that when they need to replace De Niro with a robot, it'll be very easy. Zing! Gotcha, De Niro. Gotcha, Bobby.
Yeah.
So, close up. You didn't like The Irishman. Is there a movie, maybe not a Scorsese movie, maybe not a mom movie, but something maybe in that realm that you feel like does a better job of getting to the story quicker, making you care about the actual main character instead of focusing on the side characters that you would think somebody should watch instead of this?
Great question. Because I like the individual mob movies. Fine. Like, I'm not the person who's like, favorite movies, Godfather 2, Godfather, whatever.
Right.
Godfather Revenge. No one likes Godfather 3.
Godfather 3D.
Yeah. Or like Goodfellas, I think is like it's good. It's a fun movie. That's the thing, is like, it is a fun movie. And I do like, I love the idea of this like mea culpa on glorifying this violence, because it was horrible and just destroyed families and communities.
Right.
And like our fucking government is a changed forever because of them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like, that's a very compelling story to tell. So like, in a way, I like the mission of this movie more than the other ones. But like, Casino is very fun. You should watch it.
I gotta watch Casino.
And like, the other thing is like, Casino I like because it's like it's like interpretation of real character. Like, it's kind of like, oh, this guy's kind of based on this guy and all that stuff, where like, there is a truth to the story, even though it's not a true like literal story,
right,
about how Vegas became what it is. And like, the one of the characters it's based on is Mo Dalitz, who's a gangster of the time, of the 60s or whatever. And like, my grandfather worked for Mo Dalitz as like his boat captain or something like that. He was like an engineer on his boat. So like, I have a person who's like, oh, that's who Grandpa worked for or whatever. Where it's like, oh, these gangsters are bad dudes, and I definitely have some sort of family connection to crime. And it's interesting. Like, see, like, oh, this is how people worked with them. It's like, there are some period piece ones. Like, did you watch The Sopranos?
No, that's another thing I gotta watch. I missed it.
It's hard for me to watch modern day gangsters. Like, it feels like such a period piece thing where it's like, it loses a little bit of the romance if it's like someone's has a cell phone.
Right, yeah. It's just something kind of off.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's an anachronism. It's just like, well, yeah, go back to carrying shotguns and herding sheep in like Sicily.
I'd rather see gangsters like watching an Italian opera singer than watching a bunch of strippers.
B,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I do like they're good films. The what are the I can't really think of like my favorite gangster movie, other than I generally like them all. Like, I liked The Departed enough. I was living in Boston at the time. I was like, oh, cool, the North End, I've been there. That's one of those things, like you like latch onto certain parts of it. But I feel like even The Departed was like a little like just a few too many threads as well.
Right. But it wasn't 3.5 hours long.
True. Did he do Gangs of New York?
Yes. Which I've talked about on the show. And Gangs of New York, I was just like, Gangs of New York's fine. There's just too much. It's too much going on.
Gangs of New York is the reason I think Leonardo DiCaprio is an overrated actor, because like, he has acted circles around by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Like, more to my point is like, Daniel Day-Lewis does not occupy a ton of screen time in that movie.
Right.
He's a supporting actor. And yet he is such a compelling, interesting character with layers, and you can have a single scene where it shows like both his evil tendencies and violent nature, and his compassion and his respect for like a certain person that he's enemies with. Like, all these different things. Like, he is such a the character makes up for the movie,
right?
Because the movie, again, in Gangs of New York, too long, it doesn't go anywhere,
right? If you thought Scorsese was done making long, rambling movies with Gangs of New York,
yeah,
you got another thing coming.
So, like, if you just like cut it like most of Leonardo DiCaprio's scenes out of that movie, it'd be fucking fascinating and interesting and cool. But like, it's just like another waste of time. But like, but like, you can still accomplish a lot of the character stuff with like little snippets of scenes rather than full on hour long. Right. Here's how I know him, and here's how I know them, and here's how I treat my family.
It's interesting you bring that up. I feel like, because I remember Daniel Day-Lewis got a lot of critical acclaim for that, as he always does.
Surely.
And he was nominated in the lead acting categories for pretty much everything. Even though he is ostensibly a supporting character in the movie. It makes me wonder if somehow they could have pulled off, if De Niro wasn't the guy who they like centered the movie around, they probably could have done something similar for Joe Pesci in this movie.
A little bit, yeah.
Because I think Pesci's the best this whole movie.
I'm a little bit more interested in Pesci.
Me too.
As a character in this movie, and like it's I don't know.
Listen, hey, it's too late now. We got no say in the game, but it is what it is. It's what it is.
There should be like someone who edits this movie post hoc and streamlines it to like maybe an hour 45.
Oh, someone's
and
gonna
like
do that.
Call it the watchable cut or something like that. Or
it's
like
gonna be like how
I speed paint houses.
the person who edited the first 3, the Star Wars prequels all together into one movie. That's gonna be their next assignment.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I think it was Topher Grace actually who did that.
Really?
I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, it was Topher Grace. He did it, dude.
What a great hobby.
All right, Topher, I know you're listening. Get into this. Jono, this is a great little discussion. I'm glad that I could have an actual talk with somebody about why they didn't like The Irishman instead of just being like, oh, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and also like just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that I hated it.
Right, yeah.
Because it was like overall, there's a watchable movie in there. I maintain.
Yeah,
and it's just hard to get through.
Well, hey, listen, we're still sticking with the clickbait title.
Fair.
Where can the listeners find you and your work if they wanna chat you up and say, hey, I'll help edit this movie for you.
Yeah,
I'll
fucking edit your brains onto the wall, you piece of shit. I'm at Jono Zalay on all things. JONOZALAY.
Great. And you can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. Tell a friend if you like the show. Subscribe on Patreon, all that good stuff. And that's it. Jono, thanks, dude.
Thanks.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.